Well, first, my thanks for the invitation to be here at the press session. It's really always a pleasure to be here at the European Hematology meeting. Certainly, as an American, the distinction is very vast. We have lovely fresh-cut flowers. We have classical music playing next door. These things do not occur at ASH in December, so it's really a great pleasure. So my focus today is to highlight the outcomes measured by patient-reported outcomes of a large phase 3 clinical trial of Pacritinib versus best alternative therapy in patients with myelofibrosis, one of the myeloproliferative neoplasms. Now, myelofibrosis is a neoplasm. It is a type of a chronic leukemia that can affect patients in a variety of very debilitating ways. They can have massive enlargement of the spleen, sometimes up to 10 times its normal size, with a variety of derivative burdens that they can experience from that. They can have a variety of constitutional symptoms, night sweats, fevers, weight loss, cachexia, and these things can directly lead to their both morbidity and mortality, as well as a whole variety of consequences in terms of quality of life, employment, and many other difficulties. The PERSIST-1 study was a phase 3 clinical trial. Pacritinib is an oral JAK2 and FLT3 inhibitor, and this trial was unique in that it was the first myelofibrosis phase 3 trial which allowed patients of any platelet count to enroll. That feature of typically advanced patients has sometimes been a limiter in terms of alternative therapies, so a major point in terms of the phase 3 trial. The trial was a 2-to-1 randomization between Pacritinib, which accrued 220 patients on the Pacritinib, and 107 patients on best alternative therapy, those therapies chosen by their physician. This abstract focused on the patient-reported outcome aspect. Here we go. We assessed the patient-reported outcomes, one through a validated questionnaire which we've developed, the Myeloproliferative Neoplasm Symptom Assessment Form, in a daily diary format to track the key symptoms associated with the disease on a daily basis. In addition, we utilize other validated tools, the EORTQ-QC30, EQ5D, amongst others, to get a full sense of the impact of both therapy and BAT on the patients. This is the top level of the primary outcome of the study, which was measuring the degree of reduction in splenomegaly, an important target of JAK inhibitors. This demonstrated the superiority of the active arm Pacritinib to best alternative therapy, 25% versus about 5% in the evaluable population, 19.5% versus a similar number, about 5%, in the BAT arm. Of note, the patient population was a fairly advanced population of patients with myelofibrosis with pre-existing features of significant thrombocytopenia and poor risk scores. In terms of the outcome on their symptoms, we saw a very significant and meaningful impact for the patients in terms of individual symptoms and symptoms in aggregate. Specifically, differences in blue, you see reductions in symptoms of abdominal discomfort, bone pain, early satiety, itching, night sweats, and fatigue. And these correlated with improvements in quality of life for these patients. Of particular note for this study, this is the first time where these sorts of benefits have been able to be achieved, in particular for individuals with a platelet count of less than 50,000, of which there is not an approved therapy. And no phase 3 study has been conducted in the past in myelofibrosis patients with platelet counts of less than 100,000. So I'll leave with these conclusions. One, patient-reported outcomes I think are important for us to include in clinical trials. They are really an important way to quantify the subjective and to complement the other objective markers we have of disease state. In this particular study, we saw that Pacritinib had a strong impact not only on more easily measurable targets, such as the size of the spleen, improvement in anemia in about 25% of patients, improvement in thrombocytopenia, but that we saw improvements in meaningful symptoms that patients can be burdened with, as well as an overall impact in terms of quality of life. Thank you.